you think robots would take over the world? Is it possible? It is, maybe. I mean, so we talked about they could probably do things like do the housework, do the dishes, do the laundry. Do you think they could build things?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Because already, I think, if you think about how cars are made, a lot of it's electronic, it's machines that put them together. So yeah, they could build cars, houses. What else could they build?
I think it's recognize things, someone's face.
You think so?
Yeah.
How would
Because many electrons near
that's true. They can scan
Yeah.
the face or the eyes. I've seen that in a couple of movies. Science fiction movies where they. Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, at my old job, my old school I worked, when I signed in, I had to fingerprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's possible. There's the technology to recognize you. What about look like someone? Do you think a robot could be made to look like someone?
I think. I see news about this. Make faces.
Yeah. I saw a program about, well, it was sort of like a crime show, and they're talking about how if they had a skeleton, the bones, there are people that work and they reconstruct somebody's face. Right? It's true. They use, I don't know if it's like some clay or special material, and they can kind of show what the person would have looked like. Okay. Yeah, it's true. I think there are some people, like for example, for crime like investigators or archaeologists. That work with ancient people and they find some bones. Sometimes they can work and see what would this person have looked like. So yeah, it's possible they could look like someone. Okay. So next up, we are going to listen to me reading an interview with Dr. Dylan Evans. He's a robotics expert. So I'm going to read it twice. And first of all, just do part A, okay? See if you can kind of listen. And what is he saying, and check the things that he talks about, okay? So here we go. I need to find that CD. Okay, so the interviewer, he says, today my guest is Dr. Dylan Evans, head of the robotics he talked about, okay? What were some of the things that you checked?
Robots can do now.
What can they do now? Do you remember?
Sports?
Yeah, which brings us to the second one. He's talking about robots in sports. So he said that basically the robots, right now they can build things, but they're not very good at moving. But pretty soon, he said, by 2020, robots will be able to learn language, recognize your face, and understand what you say. They'll also be able to walk and run, just like humans. So that's really not very long. I mean, maybe in the next 10 years. Because like Jesse just said, well, there was a robot that swam, right? That's pretty amazing. So they're getting more and more advanced. And he said maybe, they'll be able to play sports, like the World Cup. Would you watch robots playing football?
No.
No. I know, that would be so strange. Does he talk about his own robots?
Robots in the home?
Yeah, he does. I don't think
Intelligent robots?
Yeah, robots in the home. He doesn't really talk about his own, but he's talking about robots in the home, and as I said, robots in 2020. Does he mention toys?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't mention the toys. Robot animals? No. Robots on TV? No. No, he's just more talking about the things that maybe they'll be able to do in the future. Like, for example, he was saying take care of older people or help around the house. Okay? Alright, so yeah, that's the basics of what he's talking about. The next sentence is true and false. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to read it one more time and see if you can mark these sentences, whether they're true or false. Okay, so this is part B. Okay, here we go again.
Yeah.
You only agreed on one?
Yeah.
You disagreed on the 4?
3.
Oh, okay, so you only disagreed on one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. So you disagreed on number 3. Okay. So let's go back and check. So number 1, at the moment robots can move around easily.
False.
False, right? They cannot move around easily. But number 2, by 2020, robots will be able to walk and run.
True.
Okay, but let's look. Oh, okay. So this is by 2020, robots will be able to learn language, recognize your face, understand what you say, and will also be able to walk and run. You are correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, by 2050, robots might win the World Cup.
I think this is true.
And you
I
think?
would have thought because the first I listened
Uh-huh.
2013.
Yeah, okay. So what it says so in 2020 they will be able to walk and run and do a bunch of other things, right? Learn a language, but it says they won't be able to do more complicated things like play football. That won't happen for another 20 or 30 years. By the year 2050, a team of robots might win the World Cup. Okay, so they're saying, right, so they're saying, 2020 they'll be able to do a lot, and maybe in 30 more years, by 2050, they'll be really advanced in terms of what they can do. Okay, not many people will have robots in their homes.
False.
False, right? Because he said in Japan, did he give a year? Yeah, he said they're going to have 2 or 3, in 2020, which I wonder if that's still true. Because that's very soon.
Yeah.
But people will have 2 or 3 robots in their homes. Let's see, number 5, domestic robots won't look like humans.
True.
True, okay, let's see. Yeah, they won't look like humans, they'll still look like machines. So that's true. And number 6, robots will take over the world. What is
False.
It's false, yeah, he doesn't think so. But he did say robots are going to be very intelligent. Do you think that's possible? That robots can actually think?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Because in all these movies, right, it's like the robots got so smart and then they started thinking on their own and then they took over the world. But I don't know. It's hard to imagine that a robot would actually be intelligent. But then, like a computer, it doesn't really think like a person, but it can do a lot. So maybe they'll just be like a really advanced computer? I don't know. It's strange. It's so strange to think about. Okay, good. Are there any questions about the reading or the listening? No? Okay. Next, we're going to look at the grammar. We've talked about this one a little bit before, but this is talking about the future using will. So, for example, part A, number 1. Do we use will to predict the future or talk about personal plans? Okay, yes we do. So for example, if you're talking about this week or next week, the things that you'll do, I will go see a movie with my friends, or I will work this week with the kids. Okay? So we use will to talk about the future. Number 2, which verb comes after will? So if I say I will go to a movie, I will go. What form is after will? she will go to a movie. Yeah, it's just like the infinitive. You don't have to change it, right? So will, when you add will, this
future.
to express the future. But I will, he will, she will, they will do something. But you don't need to change the second verb. Okay? So I will work tomorrow. She will eat dinner. Okay? So it's just the infinitive form, the normal form. You don't need to change it for the first or third person. What is the negative form of will?
Will.
Yeah, okay, so will, this week I will go, negative, will
not.
will not, okay, I will not go to the United States. This week I will not go to the party. Okay, so will not. And we'll talk about how to shorten this in just a minute. Now, let's look at number 4. Which verb do we use to say will possibly? So a synonym or another word for possibly.
Go.
So maybe possibly do something is like I'm not sure. Like say you invite me to go to a party and I don't know, I have a lot of homework. So possibly or maybe I will go to the party.
Maybe I will.
Maybe and possibly are very similar.